Leaving the sports world can be a difficult experience, especially if you aren't sure what your next shift is going to be. Judy Gilbert, a former university hockey player and now a business leadership coach and consultant, will introduce you to other athletes who have made the successful transition to the business world. You will hear the tactics that they use to turn their experience into a successful new career and how you can too. Welcome to The Next Shift. Here is your host and mentor, Judy Gilbert.
Welcome to this episode of The Next Shift. I'm Judy Gilbert, and I'm thrilled to be here with you talking about how you can use the experience you have gained on the playing field to help you become successful in the business world as well. On this episode of The Next Shift, I am joined by Jackie Jarrell, a former NCAA hockey player who has also played in 10 World Championships with Canada's inline hockey team. Jackie suffered a severe concussion during her time at Mercyhurst University, but rebounded from that setback to earn university degrees in education and exercise science. Jackie now helps other athletes reach their goals at her state-of-the-art training facility, Gold Performance Training. We talk a lot about resilience on this show, and Jackie's story is an inspirational journey from the rink to the business world. Jackie, thanks so much for being here today. I'm really excited to meet a fellow female hockey player and certainly at the level you played at. I mean, I think that's inspiring for so many young women. So congratulations on that for sure.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So what we've done, we have an introduction that people have learned a little bit about you ahead of time. But is there something that you can tell us that people don't know about you, Jackie?
Well, I think that my whole world around my hockey career, a big part of why I'm doing what I'm doing today stemmed from my years of growing up on the dairy farm.
Okay.
So I'm still actually involved to some extent. And I feel that my hockey career, a lot of skills that I took with my hockey career came from my years of being a farmer.
Yeah,
and,
excellent.
From a very, very young age, I literally needed to know how to work to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And truly, we're going to talk about transferable or portable skills, but it's interesting that you even had transferable skills from earlier than hockey that you used on the ice, and then
Absolutely.
those skills then that you now use in your consulting and your own business as well, right?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
It was really important for my parents when I grew up with my brothers that we needed to know how to work, but we also needed to be able to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
And I think if I told my parents that today, that's something that always stuck with me.
Good.
They would probably laugh, but if you look at myself and my brothers, I think that we're all examples of, growing up on the dairy farm, learning how to work hard, and, transferring that to every aspect of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Why hockey? What pulled you in that direction? I mean, I know what pulled me in that direction, but it's interesting to hear someone else.
Story. So I grew up in a house with two brothers. They're two of my best friends. I used to feel sorry for myself because I didn't have a sister, but at the same time, I honestly couldn't have asked for better brothers. So my dad always made us the backyard rink every year on the farm, and I was in figure skating. And of course, my mom would buy me figure skating dresses. And so I would be wanting to be out on the rink practicing just like my brothers. And it got to the point where I couldn't really practice because they were always in my way. So then I started
If you can't beat them, join them?
Exactly. So actually, my dad never wanted me to play hockey because he was scared that I was going to get hurt. And so my mom actually signed me up. My parents have had two businesses over the years, the dairy farm and construction. So my mom signed me up for hockey, and my dad didn't even know that she had signed me up. And so anyways, I started playing. My first year was with the boys house league with my brother. And I did well. I think my mom and dad said my first year I had 50 goals. I don't know if my brother liked playing on my team with me or not, but that's all right. But for me, I actually figure skated and played hockey for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then after that, my parents, had told me I had to choose one, and I chose hockey. Mm-hmm. So honestly, the love of the game, it happened when I was really young. I actually started playing at the age of 7, which I guess nowadays is a little bit late, but I had a really good foundation for my skating because I did figure skating for those first couple of years.
Excellent. And a couple of things you said really resonated with me because for me, on my mom's side, I come from a hockey playing family on her side, but my dad, he was an only child and did not have siblings or wasn't involved in sports, and I wasn't going to play. His daughter was not going to play hockey, and it was actually my mom that said, you have to let her choose, right? And so, interestingly, that he became one of my biggest fans,
Absolutely.
which is great.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, it's the same in my family too. Like, my dad and my brothers, they're like so supportive of my hockey life and have been forever.
Good.
So I had some pretty hard games against my brothers over the years. They used to like to put me in net, but I fought my way out of that.
Yeah.
So
Good
I
for
threw
you.
them in net instead.
Good. Well, that's great. So let's talk a little bit about your transition from sport to business. And what did you find, Jackie, were some of the challenges in doing so?
Well, I think for myself, I always wanted to make sure that whatever I did with my life, I wanted to do something that was very meaningful. I have a genuine interest in helping others. And I felt that growing up, being a female hockey player, I was a minority. And, you know, you look around today and being a female athlete is cool and trendy. But when I was growing up, it wasn't necessarily like that. So it was a challenge for me as a young child because I was always the only girl on the boys team, which I was okay with. But it's great to see how far things have come, you know, during those years. But going back to the whole piece of, you know, I was very fortunate. I had a full hockey scholarship. All my education was paid for. But I knew that no matter how good of a hockey player I was or how many years I played with Team Canada, I would never be able to make the money playing hockey like the men. So it was really important to me when I was deciding where I was going to go to university that I needed to make sure that I was, you know, taking a really good degree, even if it meant more work than, you know, some of my teammates. Of course. But I wanted to make sure that in the end, I've been fortunate to be with Team Canada for actually 11 years now, but I was able to have a good education so that I could have a good career for myself. Because just because I had my hockey scholarship, which was absolutely amazing, it didn't mean that, you know, hockey was going to bring me any income after I finished.
That's right.
So that was my whole thought process was, you know, I wanted to do something meaningful with my life. I wanted to think outside of the box. And at the same time, I needed to make sure I had an education, regardless of wherever hockey took me. When
I hear you talking about that opportunity and how many years ago that was, and obviously I'm a lot older than you, and so even when I started to play, it was not acceptable in a lot of people's eyes for young girls to be playing hockey, and I think that the game has grown considerably, and I think that by sort of challenging those thoughts and the what was the norm at that point has really helped the sport. And I'm thrilled for you that you had an opportunity to play on Team Canada. That was something that didn't come along until shortly after I was finished playing. And so when I look at that, I think, my goodness, it has really grown and there are opportunities. But as you said, it's not something that women are going to make a living at.
No.
At this point in time.
And I knew that very early on. But, growing up in our community, I was very fortunate that there's so many people that supported me. And from a young age, I spent a lot of time working with the Belleville Bulls, at their summer hockey camps. But then it also turned into me as I was going through my education, with internships. But then I was also fortunate to be able to train and skate with them too. So I feel like I was really lucky. I love coming from the small city. There's so many amazing people in our city. And guys like Jack Miller and Paul Sabota, who followed me ever since I was a little girl, were totally okay with, you know what, we have a female hockey player, and they, will reach out to me and they'll want to follow me and know how I'm doing. So I don't feel sorry for myself whatsoever that I don't have the same opportunities to make money playing hockey that the men do. I just feel really, really grateful for what I do and what I've done with my hockey and what I'm able to do now.
So tell us about what you're doing now, because obviously that was part of that transition.
Absolutely. Yeah. So as I said, it was important to me to make sure that I did something meaningful in my life, and I always thought it would be really unique to have my own training facility. in the country in the farm setting. And the reason why I wanted it there is because it would be so unique. So it was a bit of a process. I was able to acquire some land after I finished my master's degree. I did my master's at the same university where I played hockey.
Okay.
So I was very fortunate to have a graduate position with that. So my school paid for my master's and then my undergraduate degree in sports medicine. So I decided that I really wanted to, create something that I felt was lacking when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. So I have a state-of-the-art strength and conditioning facility, 6,500 square feet, where I work with all different types of athletes every week, getting them stronger and faster and in better shape for their sport, whatever that is. By trade, I'm a hockey player, so I work with a lot of hockey players,
mm-hmm.
but I've also worked with a lot of athletes who aren't necessarily hockey players either. So I've been in business for it'll be 5 years now. I actually started my business when I rented space from the Belleville Bulls before they were sold.
Okay.
And so that's how I started, and then I just continued to build up my clientele, and then I've been fortunate to work with some incredible athletes in our mm-hmm. city and surrounding area, and it's been a lot of fun. I have partnerships with BioSteel, so it's all my athletes will have protein after they're done training, and then Under Armour. I'm sponsored by Under Armour, so all the athletes in the training facility, Under Armour is the training gear supplier, mm-hmm. and then not only do I do strength and conditioning fitness programs for the athletes, but I also have a concussion program. And I have a great interest in that area because when I was in university, I had a really bad concussion that kept me out of university for a year mm-hmm. and also kept me out of hockey for a year and a half.
Wow.
So I had a lot of doctors who doubted me. Some of the doctors actually in Canada told me just to hang out my skates because I would never play again, and I couldn't finish my degree because I actually was pretty bad. But there was one doctor out of the University of Pittsburgh who is world renowned for his work with concussions, and he was able to basically retrain my brain and get it better. And I was able to go back to university, finish my degree, finish hockey, and then move on and be with Team Canada for the last 11 years. So I was always really inspired by what he did to help me, and I felt like I owed it to other people to help them.
Wow.
So what I decided to do was to create my own concussion program at my facility. So after I was completed my master's, I did all of my training and certifications so that I could implement concussion testing, baseline post-injury concussion testing, and then also I'm getting a lot more into concussion rehab now. Even working with some former NHL hockey players who have, unfortunately suffered really terrible concussion injuries. And it's just been absolutely amazing to help them get better. Mm-hmm. So my facility that I created obviously is kind of like an athlete hub. They spend a lot of time getting better with regards to their fitness. And then I also work with a lot of athletes on some hockey skills. And then I have my concussion program there too.
Good.
So
that's great. Well, good for you. Yeah. That is really wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm a so-called kinesiologist and strength and conditioning coach. And I've also been working with some cancer patients and so lots of different clientele.
Yeah. So when we talk about, that transition and we sort of touched on those transferable skills, when I think about some of those transferable skills that helped me sort of make that shift from sport to business, I think about, being able to perform under pressure and that resilience and focusing and really about respectful behavior and fair play. So what are some of those transferable skills that you feel have really helped you with that shift?
Well, I think there's so many, honestly. Mm-hmm. The first one is work ethic.
Yeah.
Being an athlete at the NCAA level and the national team level is certainly it's very challenging. You got to work hard. You got to eat right. You got to train right. You got to practice hard. So, that work ethic that I've learned through growing up on the farm, through, all my years of hockey is easily transferable into my business. And, I like to think that I inspire the kids that I work with to push themselves and to work hard too, whatever it is that they are looking to achieve. The next piece is, just being committed to something, committed to a goal that you want to achieve. I've played on lots of different teams, and I've been very fortunate. I've been in leadership roles where I've been a captain, and I think it's really important to, learn to deal with all different types of people, and, figure out ways to get everyone on the same page so that you can reach goals as a team. And I think just, the communication piece, learning how to get along with others, and, being a leader is stuff that I know that I've taken into my world with my business. Now that I have, staff working with me, finding ways to connect with all different types of athletes that I'm working with, because in everyday life, no one's the same. So
no, that's right.
You have to learn to find ways to get the most out of every single person that, you're working with. And I see that, when I was just in Spain at the World Games, and I'm one of the captains on Team Canada, and it was just like, we have young kids that are coming into our program who are absolutely incredible, and we need to find ways that, everyone needs to be involved for the common good of our team, so that we can be successful.
Yeah, and really around that shared vision.
Absolutely.
And I think that was one of the things that I recognized coming out of sport and going to work in a larger organization. Not everybody has the same vision or goal, and we're all motivated by different things. And so then how do you take that team approach from sport and exercise that and implement that in an organization when not everyone is on that same page, right?
Yeah.
And so those are some of the challenges, I think. And it's around our identity too.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing too is you got to be passionate about what you do every day. So if you love what you do, you're going to spend the time in that work ethic, and it's going to come exactly, with whatever it is that you need to be doing, because you're passionate about what you do.
Yeah. It's not so much like work then, is it?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I never found going to the rink work.
No.
And I'm sure you didn't either.
No, I don't. No, absolutely not. Like, I love what I do every day. Yeah. I can honestly say that I love what I do every day. But, there's obviously challenges and there's hurdles.
Of course.
But
of course.
Every good athlete has challenges and hurdles. And this last 2 years of my life, I have never had to persevere like I have coming through this back injury that I actually had when I had shingles. So, unfortunately I had to have surgery and back procedures, and, I had to work so hard and be so dedicated, and all of that, what I've done, because I'm still an athlete, is all transferable skills into my world now in business.
Jackie, can you tell me a little bit more about that injury and
so
what you've been through with that?
Yeah, so I've actually been really fortunate as an athlete, really. I've had a concussion, but I've been pretty healthy my whole life, but unfortunately I had shingles twice, which is something that someone at my age apparently is not supposed to have. But it was very difficult. I ended up having to have surgery, and then I ended up having to have more back procedures. But I've been very fortunate. I'm connected now as I'm doing some work with the NHL referees with regards to their fitness. And working with them, and it's just, the hockey community is very small, and networking. I was able to basically get treated by the Toronto Maple Leafs head therapist, and he was unbelievable in my recovery and making sure that I got in to see the right doctors and that I got better. And it was a big doubt if I'd ever get back playing because of it, but just persevering through that and facing that adversity, it just makes you stronger. Yeah.
And using some of those skills that you had acquired, whether it was on the farm or whether it was through hockey, that helped really through that cycle of illness.
Yes,
too.
Absolutely. And I just feel like I'm so much I'm so much stronger, so much mentally tougher because of, the adversity that you face in your life and the character that it builds.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so we're going to do the shootout round.
Okay.
And we had a couple of goalies in here earlier today, so they didn't like the sounds of that very much. But as a forward, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the next 60 seconds, 90 seconds, I'm going to ask you about 5 questions, okay? And we just, whatever comes to mind.
Okay. And you're not going to tell me what they are?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now what the first one is. So what's your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby is probably, just working out, training, spending time on the farm, and just being around my nieces and my nephew, my family.
Okay, good. If you could pick 3 words to describe yourself, what would they be?
Passionate, committed, and strong work ethic.
Good.
That's more than 3 words.
No, that's okay. We'll take it. There's no penalty. There's no penalty at the end of this, right?
Yeah.
What do you do first thing in the morning?
Probably straighten my hair.
Okay.
Straighten my hair, have something to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And if somebody was going to give you a compliment, what would that compliment be?
It's a tough question. I think just very committed, caring, hard worker.
Good. All right. And when are you most productive during the day? When's your most productive time?
Probably early in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how these conversations, everyone has been that way. So that's interesting.
Early in the morning. Yeah, for sure.
Good.
Get up and get at her. Yeah.
Okay. If you could give some piece of advice to our viewers, what would that be?
I think the biggest thing is you want to be passionate about whatever it is that you do in your life, whether you're young playing sport or you're looking at a career. Put in the time, work hard, ask lots of questions. I think it's okay if things don't always go your way. Builds character. And my slogan with my training facility is have a vision, find a way, make it happen. So whatever it is that you want to accomplish in your life, basically find a way to make that happen.
Good. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
You can find me on social media.
Okay.
I have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
All right.
I don't spend a ton of time on social media, but here and there. I have my website, www.goldperformancetraining.com.
Okay. Great. Jackie, thank you for today. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, and I'm sorry that our paths hadn't crossed until now, for sure. So thank you.
It was great to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.